I would like to show some select VR Troopers action figures from 1994. The reason I have this particular selection is because the VR Troopers show used footage from a few Japanese TV shows, unlike Power Rangers that would just kind of use one show at a time for the footage of the team, you know, in their suits fighting and everything. But with VR Troopers it was kind of split into two major shows, then there was another one and got even more messy. But I just want to look at the figures that use the Metalder show footage, which was the main kind of lead hero, Ryan Steele, in the VR Troopers show. Used a lot of footage from that, so I want to look at the figures that are from that Japanese TV show footage. We'll show some figures I already have opened up here, and we'll open up some new ones to add to my collection, because I really enjoyed watching the Japanese footage show. Kind of get a better sense of where the footage came from for VR Troopers that I would have got to see as a kid on TV. So we won't be seeing the other two members because they're from a whole different TV show. But we will look at the Ryan Steele figures. There was a giant one. But we have here just his normal figure. He's got kind of the half and half look. In the Japanese show, he was like a android that would kind of transform into this like raw appearance of his android form, like his fighting form. VR Troopers using it as kind of his Power Ranger style suit. Never quite understood VR Troopers. They're fighting in a virtual reality dimension of some sort. I'm not particularly familiar with the VR Trooper story anymore. I just only got to see it as a kid some, and did get some of the toys just because they did look cool in their suits. So these are just like 5-point figures here, the head turning and the arms and legs moving to some degree. Crazily enough, this figure wasn't released as this TV show's figure like in Japan. Like this wasn't the Japanese version. This was strictly made by Kenner for the US for the VR Troopers show, all these figures. Japan had different merchandise for the shows that these costumes and stuff were made for. Which begs the question, some of the accessories here, why they're so weird. It comes with like clear plastic accessories. Here's like a laser gun, but I don't think he ever had a laser gun in the show. You'd think that would be a weapon he would use, but Metalder didn't really have weapons. Unlike, you know, the Power Rangers or something like that would summon, you know, different swords and weapons like that. But I always like the clear plastic look of it, just kind of looked kind of cool, maybe matching the VR theme a little bit, I guess. It kind of looks like digital or something. I don't know. And he has this blade-like thing that's actually kind of his laser arm from the Japanese show. So the footage, of course, he would do kind of a slash karate chop. His arm covered in kind of energy, so this is kind of what that is going to represent as a weapon, instead of, you know, coming with the usual sword or something that he wouldn't have even used in the show. At least this kind of made sense. So you can kind of pose it with this one since it kind of represents the laser arm move that would be used in both shows. There's also a deluxe Megatech Ryan Steele figure, so just kind of a little bit recolor of the suit, and then coming with like a big accessory, this big backpack. Almost looks like it'd be electronic, but it's just a missile launching pack. Pretty big missile. Didn't really launch out very far there. Came with 2 missiles though. I guess I just never had any figures that did that. Maybe that wasn't locked in all the way here. Yeah, it goes a little farther. Again, the clear plastic kind of used to look like an energy weapon. I never had any figures that had like 2 of the missile. Usually you just had the 1 missile, and if you lost it, then that was the end of that. Firing power, spear launcher, and laser eyes. So we can take off the weapon backpack. And he does have the little window on the top of his head to give him that kind of light up eye effect if some light is coming down into the top of the head. So that's the deluxe figure, you know, not a color that was even on the show or anything, either show, just for the toy, so just kind of ended up with it. Hunting down some of the other figures here we'll take a look at. Looking on the back of the kind of Wave 1 early figure cards, some vehicles. Majority of them are going to be from the other show, but the VR Turbo Cycle here is from that Metalder show. Little motorcycle with a sidecar. The sidecar can detach, but I don't think there's a button to shoot it off and detach. And then the main motorcycle part kind of has a hard time standing up, so not too much of a reason to stand it up. But it does have a missile launch in the sidecar. The little button on the side. There's a little bit of a feature. You can sit the figures on there. You could sit the other VR troopers in the sidecar, but on the show that would never happen because all the footage, you know, is from different shows, so they had never fought together. It was always Ryan Steele by himself and the other two by themselves fighting. Again, this is great because I'm kind of collecting it as the Japan show that I finally got to watch and see all the footage that was cut out to edit together VR troopers. You could put another character, Darkheart, in the sidecar because he's from the Metalder show. Top Gunner or Gunder, or however you want to pronounce it differently for the Japanese name, was just kind of a bad guy of the army he's fighting against. Just kind of got sick of it, fed up with it being used, ended up becoming an ally. It's a really cool design. I always liked this figure. He has two guns. Mine, I've lost the small one, but I still have the big one. And that was his main thing in the show, was he was kind of a sniper, really skilled with his guns. And he has the big robo arm. He was actually a robot. In the original Japanese show, he's actually like a brainwashed, suited up, being used in the VR Trooper show. It's actually Ryan Steele's father in the suit or something. So then that's how they kind of explain the fighting and then the kind of team up that he's starts to realize who he is or something with the footage. I don't know how exactly they do that in VR Troopers, but kind of did the I am your father trope off of it, weirdly enough. I will admit I went through the phase where I wanted to use the magnifying glass to melt my figures. I just started to do Darkheart and then I was like, no, this figure's too cool. So yeah, he's so cool I saved him from any magnifying glass melting. So no figure of the main villain, Grimlord in the VR Trooper show, God Neros in the Japanese version, the original version. So he was kind of like secretly trying to take over the world and he had these armies of different like either robots or just costumed human fighters or mutants and things. So Darkheart, Top Gunder, was just a robot that learned to go out on his own. So then the characters I never had was just some of the random enemies and stuff that they did. So here's the early card back. Doesn't show a whole lot of product when they got started. But Tankotron was in the first wave here. Never had him. With shoulder turrets and double-barreled bazooka. And I think if you look him up, it was supposed to be Tankotron with an A. So everything's all mixed up because VR Troopers is just a mess in general. But anyway, we're going to crack one open because I want to have my collection, you know, kind of based on VR Troopers from when I was a kid. More so with the getting to see the actual Japanese show now. Kind of separate the individual Japanese shows. So a figure I never got to have as a kid, getting to have it now. Tankotron, again, just simple movement with the 5 points. But he does make for a pretty cool robot dude. Got the kind of cannon arm. Doesn't do anything. Cannon head actually is only a 4 point, I guess, because the head does not move. Oh, well, technically the guns on his head are articulated, so maybe it's a 6 point if you want to get technical. That's one piece, so when you move one, kind of are forced to move the other. I don't remember him too well in the Metalder show, if he was just kind of a one-off, or a lot of them were like reoccurring, like they wouldn't die in the episode. Maybe there's only one main one that really fought and, you know, fought to the death. The rest would kind of run away to be in more episodes. So I don't really remember his equivalent other than he's definitely from the footage of the Metalder show. Comes with a big gun. I don't think he probably used in the show at all. Mostly going to be for the toy, because, I mean, you can see the weapons are on him already. But he can hold this gun. You have 2 guns on your head. You have a gun arm, and you decided to bring a gun. Do you have enough guns? But he looks pretty awesome. He's, you know, the kind of tokusatsu robot-y villains. I just never got to have any bad guys for VR Troopers as a kid, but oh well. I just wanted to have them to go with my Power Ranger stuff anyway, so... Tankotron, he's cool. Got a brand new one. I like it. Actually, look at this deluxe figure here. A little bit different on the back. Because they have the deluxe versions of the VR Troopers, an extra vehicle here shown. Possibly from the 3rd show that they ended up chopping up for the footage. Same basic figures. But this is a deluxe one, so we got a feature. So here's the demonstration of this. This is... what the heck's this VR Trooper name? The Decimator. Okay. This is like a big-time reoccurring villain in the Metalder show. Kulgin! He was just a person under the armor. He was just a skilled fighter with a sword. But here he's got 4 swords. don't think I ever even saw this. The deluxe? I think VR Troopers died out pretty quick. Never really saw. Always wanted the vehicle stuff, but this one will be fun because it has a crazy play feature. And this is a big time main villain in the Japanese show. But with the feature, he's pretty chunky. I mean, he's not this thick chested in the show here. Got these like just plasticky cape bits. They're just kind of pegged. He's got two separate ones. All these swords. I think he just had one sword in the show. Any swords? So let's see if I can figure it out. We got Coolgan here, the Decimator. He's just got his arms and legs like the others, but he's going to be locked up with a feature here up in the head. Okay, he opens up. I can see the missile launchers here. What? Well, you can at least hold the swords like normal if you just want to have him fight like he did on the show. So that's good. So the launcher is like down in here. I think we have to kind of open it up first. Get them down in there. They're kind of shaped here to kind of do the little spring-loaded missile mechanism. Don't see how you're supposed to... Okay, he gets up there. Okay, hey, I don't have any hidden blades hidden in me at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Surprise! It's like, what? I guess that's the best they could do. It's cold in here, my friends. So they have buttons to shoot the swords, I guess. Okay, oh my god. Each one has its own button. You can shoot each sword out. Holy crap. So you just kind of have to have that down or push it, and then you kind of can go back to normal mode. Pretty strong launchers. I guess you just would have to hold the other two. That's kind of cool. You get 4 workable missiles for his mechanisms. Like, oh, he got a launcher. I don't know where they came up with this, because he didn't shoot anything. He wasn't a robot in the original one. I bet these cape pieces just get lost super easy with these, so that's why I just got a new and packaged one to open up to show here, you know, make sure it's complete, to show everything. And just for my collection, a nice clean, brand new one. I don't have to hunt down, you know, oh, it's missing a sword, it's missing a cape. None of that baloney. A lot of times the accessories, that's what's really worth something, because they're just easily lost all the time. So by the time you hunt down every piece individually to buy it, probably more worthwhile just to get a brand new one. Keep it in the box or open it up stupidly like I do. There's Cool Guy, or Coolgan, or the Decimator, or whatever you want to call it. He's a cool guy. We got Air Striker with spinning propeller blade and Blitz Bomb. And he seems to be a later release figure because the back of his card is loaded with a lot more products. My god, this huge tank thing, it looks awesome, and I kind of want it. I don't know what show it's from because I've only watched the Metalder one, which is the ones we're doing figures on. I hope this is in the other one with the other 2 VR Trooper guys. But here we see more deluxe figures, and here we see... I don't know if the General Arivar figure was released. We'll have to look. They might be... I don't recognize him from the Metalder show, so he might be from the other 2's show, possibly. But here we have the Battle Grid suits that in the VR Trooper show, they would do like a separate thing where they morphed into these. That weren't their main suits. And they would fight some, you know, the Putty Patrol or whatever it was called in their show. But they were just like re-spray painted Power Ranger helmets. Like, it's just the Red Ranger's helmet, different colors. They look terrible, and I couldn't imagine owning figures of them, but I don't know if they were really released or not. We'll look into that. So then here we even see Ryan Steele figure that isn't even the costume that we looked at before, because then he had to get footage from another show because it ran out. So had that, different version of the other ones. But here we have Air Striker that we're going to open up and check out. And Jeb the Dog, which is another one I don't think actually released. That's strictly from VR Troopers. Metalder had a dog, but it was like a Rottweiler or something. It was a different dog. It was a Robo Dog, a talking dog, but so was Jeb from the show, and he talked like Jack Nicholson. You might ask why he did that, but I don't know. Gonna need a minute alone, boys. Jeb the Dog. If this existed, it doesn't really fit what I'm collecting, but I would mysteriously want it. Anyway, lots more on the back here, but that's about when it was kind of ending. We got Air Striker. What was his name in Metalder was like Barbara or Barbary? I don't remember. It didn't make much sense. Probably makes more sense in Japanese, I guess, but anyway, I want to open up the Air Striker here. They have nice little plastic backings on them. Kind of interesting. He is basically a helicopter. Let's see. No head articulation, just the arms and legs again. Barbara. So his bomb here goes on the arm, and it can do nothing. It's just on there, and if you were playing, you'd have to just be like, bombs away! Pew! Interesting choice, I guess. But we got the helicopter blade, big hole in the back there. That just snaps in place. I guess you could probably get it back out, but dang, it's locked in there pretty good. And yep, he can do the old helicopter spin. He was a helicopter. Rarg. So this is one that was like a reoccurring on the Metalder show, that there was always the scenes where it was like, oh crap, he's in the sky, bombing. So you never really got to finish him off like directly in a one-on-one fight, because it was just the footage of him like dive bombing him and flying. He'd be in his car or the motorcycle or something. He was kind of getting chased in the air by... There was like a jet guy too, and the helicopter dude, so cool to have him because he was in so many episodes of the show. He wasn't like the villain of the week that was just like defeated in one episode. He was just often there chasing him down. I think very weird colors here. Not really like the costume that was shown in the show, but not that you could really see it very much in the crappy like VHS quality footage. So a pretty awesome lot, kind of makes up a good collection for the Japanese show, and decent for the VR Troopers too, if you really like that alongside Power Rangers, or maybe you only liked VR Troopers, which would be unlikely, but if you have any memory of watching VR Troopers on TV show, I'd like to hear about it. I recommend you hunt down a way to get the Japanese show, because then you can see all the footage of the characters in their original context, so you get to see a lot more instead of just dubbed over weird like butchered footage. You know, you get to see the real show that I did really like a lot. So eventually I will open the other VR Troopers stuff here that are associated with other shows once I watch the Japanese show to go with them. Just finished Metalder. And in general, this is what I like to do, is show toys I had as a kid and then maybe kind of hunt down some things I didn't have, kind of complete the collections a little bit, if I'm very interested in them still. So this one's a cool one that's like nostalgic, because I did see VR Troopers on TV and had some of the toys, but then now I can kind of hunt down the actual show that more of the footage is from, to see this costume and see the fights and things in their original context, which was a lot of fun to see. It was still kind of nostalgic in a way that I had seen it, but it was also brand new because it was just a completely different story. So I do Power Ranger stuff and various other 90s-ish action figure showcases. So you might want to check out the whole channel page and see what is interesting to you. That way I get to see you in the next video. In virtual reality! Whoa!